Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Allow me to start our today's event. I will remind you that today we have the presentation of the report we've prepared within the project of UNESCAP. We have prepared the feasibility study of the projects in Uzbekistan aimed at the development of transboundary paperless trade in Central Asia. As a moderator, I would like to say that this event is being recorded, and this record is intended for internal purposes. So the results of the discussion, which takes place now, to add to the report. Apart from this, there is a translation provided. If you press the interpretation and globe sign, you may choose either English or Russian channel, and at any language. And you may also make presentations, and please use the opportunities which were kindly provided for you. Today, our event will take about 1.5 hours, and in the beginning, my head, Mr. Yan Zuval, head of the Department of the Trade Policy and Trade Facilitation, will give the speech, and also the officer and the manager of this project, Mr. Yan Li, will take the floor. And as I understand, Ms. Anastasia Belova will also add to the presentation welcoming remarks. Without much ado, I will give the floor to Mr. Yan Zuval.
Thank you very much, Alexei. And very good afternoon from Bangkok. From me, I'm the Chief of Trade Policy and Facilitation at UNESCAP, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this national consultation in Uzbekistan. In fact, I take this opportunity to congratulate Uzbekistan for its gold medal in judo at the French Olympics, right? Going on now. It was a very impressive fight that Uzbekistan won. So I'd like to express our deep appreciation for your attention to the issues of developing cross-border paperless trade in Uzbekistan and the Central Asian region as a whole. This really may be seen, this consultation and all the work that is being done in the wider context of digital transformation ongoing in almost all the countries in the Central Asian region and the globe. We are pleased to see the very encouraging progress by Uzbekistan on trade facilitation and on trade in general. As the recent studies clearly show, and as seen during the Asia-Pacific Trade Facilitation Forum, we had the pleasure to co-organize in Samarkand earlier in April. ESCAP very much welcomes the efforts of Uzbekistan in joining the framework agreement on facilitation of cross-border paperless trade in Asia and the Pacific. I'm very much confident that accession to the treaty can help boost Uzbekistan's competitiveness and keep it among the leading trade facilitating economies in Central Asia and beyond. So the feasibility study we will present today confirms the relevance of Uzbekistan's participation in the framework agreement. It aims to examine various options for implementing electronic information and document exchange systems between Uzbekistan and its trading partners, and to identify feasible pathways. So the results can support important policy decisions and provide a basis for securing funds for actual and progressive implementation of cross-border paperless trade. Two possible projects are identified in the study and have been examined in some detail. The electronic exchange of phytosanitary certificates with Kazakhstan is one of them. And the second is the electronic exchange of certificates of origin with Kyrgyzstan. These projects hold the potential to significantly reduce financial and time costs, simplify trade procedures, and also increase the transparency of operations. Ultimately, the implementation of these types of projects will contribute to strengthening economic ties between Central Asian countries and enhance Uzbekistan's competitiveness in the region and beyond. So with Kyrgyzstan already party to the framework agreement and Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan hopefully joining soon, implementation of projects with high impact potential, such as the one we've identified in the study, may be accelerated and expanded to other parties in the framework agreement across Central Asia and also across the wider Asia-Pacific region. So thank you very much for your attention, and I really wish a fruitful meeting today in the presentation of the results. Thank you very much. Back to you, Alexei.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Indeed, Jan, I did not know that Uzbekistan is already progressing in Olympics, and now I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Jan Fardiley, the General Officer on Economic Issues from the Department of Trade Policy. He's a manager of the project, and I wanted to say that the project was held both in Uzbekistan and other Central Asian countries, and my colleague will give some summary of the projects implemented.
Hi, thank you, Alexei. Very good afternoon to everyone. Good to see all of you here. So I just wanted to give a quick summary, just say a few words about the overall project that is taking place. So we have been conducting a series of feasibility studies on electronic exchange in Central Asian countries, including Uzbekistan, over the course of this year. And during the past few weeks and the coming weeks, we are having national consultation meetings to present the studies, the results, the findings to the stakeholders, the various stakeholders, ministries, customs, agencies of the countries, including the key results, particularly the projects that are identified, the proposed projects for exchanging certain documents, as you have heard from Jan, for exchange with certain proposed partner countries in the region. So at a national meeting such as today, we hope to get your feedback, your very frank, honest comments and opinions, so that we hear what are your concerns, to further refine the studies, to inform the studies. Both today and after the meeting, of course, please let us know your thoughts, what are the gaps, what are the needs, and then we can develop further the final report as well as the finalized report, as well as to plan for next steps. Later in this year, these next steps might include a sub-regional meeting among the project countries of Central Asia, perhaps together with potential development, partner development organizations, potential donors, where we might discuss next steps to take these ideas to practical implementation, perhaps in the coming 1 to 2 years. So really hoping to hear Alexei's presentation and then get your thoughts afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Yunfai. And before we start with the presentation, I would like to give the floor to Anastasia Belova, Ministry of Investments and Trade. And this is a leading agency, the coordinator of the project we worked on for the preparation of this report. Anastasia, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Alexei, for the floor. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Allow me to express my gratitude for the fruitful cooperation of ESCAP and thank all the participants of today's meeting for participation in this event. As you might know, recently in Turkmenistan, there were various important reforms in all areas of economy, which were conducive for the development of entrepreneurship and economic activity, and trade relations were established with all partner countries. At the same, Uzbekistan takes measures to facilitate trade and paperless trade, and within their commitment for the modernization and revamping the trade processes, Turkmenistan is aimed at decreasing barriers and increasing the efficiency of trade procedures. For this, a feasibility study was done in order to focus on phytosanitary exchange certificates between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, and also between Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, in order to assess the economic efficiency of these processes, about some problems, issues between this exchange. And for this, we will be looking forward to the presentation of the results. And as Mr. Jan Duval said, yes, we are committed to joining to the paperless trade agreement and the similar way. Thanks to the consultant of UNESCAP, we are working on this project. It was agreed upon with all ministers and agencies concerned and has been sent to the government. And this project has been reviewed at the level of the government and is ready to report to the president of the country. Also, the representatives of state authorities of Uzbekistan are actively participating in the similar activities. And thank you very much. I wish all of you the fruitful work today. Thank you. Thank you, Anastasia, for your support, for all the information and coordination. Indeed, today we have the event, which also includes the interaction, live interaction, and those reports are not carved in stone, and they might be developed further, taking into account your proposals and comments. And of course, those agencies who are responsible for the business processes, we would like to hear your opinion. And the discussion will help us to finalize our report and present it at our final event. And we do hope that the results we achieved will be interesting for the policy making parties, so we could show the results to the donor of the project and start doing this in practical terms. I would like to say something. I've seen the name of the consultant, our national consultant joined, and I would like to say thanks a lot to Minister Zebenisora Jabova and Eskata that you are actively participating in the reforms in Uzbekistan, going on in Uzbekistan. Thank you. Yes, within the project, our work was organized together with national consultants in Uzbekistan. Zebenisora Rajabova actively helped out us, and she takes part in today's event, and she will have some comments and substitute somehow our presentation. So allow me to start because our time is limited and the presentation is quite long. Can you see the first slide? Yes, we can. Okay. As I said, today we present the report on a feasibility study of the projects on implementation of transboundary e-exchange of documents for Uzbekistan. And within this presentation, I will tell you why we need this feasibility studies, what it is, what is this document, and what methodology has been used. Also, we looked into the findings and recommendations for Uzbekistan, and we will have questions and answers session, and we'll have the possibility to discuss the results presented here today. Jan Duval has already stressed out, and Anastasia also that Uzbekistan is on the stage of the exceeding of the framework agreement, and in this agreement there is Article 13, pilot projects and lessons learned, sharing lessons learned. So it means that in practical terms, in order for countries to move forward, they have to implement the pilot projects and share the experience. So it could be scaled up successfully. And if it is not successful, then accordingly, it should be adjusted. A model should be adjusted of implementation. In this regard, the UNESCAP has the project which was supported by China, Belt and Road, and within this project, it was decided to have studies in Central Asian countries and find out in which areas the pilot projects can be implemented. Why the feasibility study is needed? The feasibility study is needed to find out the capacity of the project pilot project proposed, and assess it from all aspects and look at the risks for the implementation, and just quite before the countries will start practically implement it. If you have the good level of feasibility study, it will provide mainly for the success of the project, because during the preparation of the feasibility study, we will understand what is the feasibility study, what are the risks, should investment, how much investment should be made. And if you have feasibility study, it helps to policymakers to take decisions which will enable to increase the aims and or to understand the aims and objectives of the projects among all participants, all stakeholders. The technical, the feasibility study will enable to understand what concrete projects should be worked on. The priorities are determined for transboundary country partners. Also, the composition of the documents is identified, which documents are most relevant, and what concrete countries are participants, a couple of countries, and the concrete document is being determined. Within the feasibility study, the model is being built to be a model, and the possibilities are shown, what possibilities this model brings. If you have two models, to be and as is, you may see what the costs and the benefits this model to be will bring along. What costs, what participants should be engaged, and what is most important but very complex, to assess the effect of the implementation of this project, because costs might be higher than the expected benefits. In this case, the project should not be implemented. ESCAP has the experience on these projects, and based on this experience, the methodology was developed, and within this specific project, we started to work back in January, and we show you the results for half a year. At the first stage, we carefully looked into the current situation. We had a number of interviews based on questionnaires and collected open information. And in May, we had a meeting to review it. And in June, July, we prepared this presentation. The main components of the feasibility study as a document. This is the analysis of the trade activity volume and the current situation. We also look at the readiness of state authorities to transfer to transborder interaction, and whether at the national level there is a digital infrastructure or technical abilities, what is the legal framework, or whether there are some constraints in terms of exchange of information, sharing information with other countries. In order to make this feasibility study, we have requested the information, collected and had interviews and collected data together with the state authority. ESCAP has the methodology on feasibility study and templates and questionnaires. We adopted them, the templates which are being used for state authorities on the board, the customs officer, for national committees for trade facilitations. In general, all in all, when we talk about the methodology, it is based on these 7 main steps, which you can see on the screen. If you read the report, which we will distribute today, the first section, this is a review of the current situation, analysis of trade documentation and partner countries. The second, it is the comprehensive feasibility study for all documents. Then the options for use of the documents and partner countries, economic feasibilities, then operational feasibility, interoperability, and plan of implementation, and some more information about the steps. First step, we study the specific documents to be prioritized, and what partner countries should be selected in order to provide the success of the project. And we choose 1 or 2 cases to justify the pilot. In the case of Uzbekistan, we have 2 cases, and then we look at the current situation. We look at the legal framework, the preparedness, readiness of information systems. And as a result of this stage, we have the detailed information of the current position in order to use the business model. The third stage, the to-be model, and describe accordingly in detail how the information exchange, transboundary exchange, is being done, taking into account the electronic documentation. We look at the systems in place for that. We look how to organize this information operability, operational operability, information safety, and interface to be developed for that. Therefore, at this stage, we prepare the model to be. Then the quite a complicated stage, it took quite a long time, is to show the economic feasibility and the cost and benefit analysis. If we have the experience on cost of the project, and we see the cost of the project at the stage of revival or feasibility, then when we talk about benefits, we look at more detailed information where the economic benefit takes place in terms of time, and time should be converted in economic benefits. For the state, benefit for the state is one story, for the business another story. So we looked at it in a comprehensive way and presented our results. About operational interoperability, we focus on who will be the leading agency for the implementation of the project, the pilot, and what participants should be involved in the project, how to form the project team, what aspects should be taken into account for the implementation by this team. Then the section is the implementation plan. We understand how what the model should be developed and how to go to this model from the present state. We have 6 subsections, and we understand that the implementation of the pilot is not a self-aim. The self-aim is transferred from transboundary to transboundary paperless trade. But the project, if the project is successful, then further investments will be feasible. Therefore, we propose the plan of implementation of the project. Then the cooperation and regional integration is, in Central Asian countries, there are a lot of number of projects implemented. There are various platforms for the dialogue, SPECA, and other associations. Therefore, we looked into this issue. What are the intergovernmental commissions to be engaged and what donors are working in the regions, what projects are being implemented in order to achieve the synergy in these projects and give our recommendations. Therefore, all this concerns the methodology. Now I will show the findings of our study. First, the analysis of trade documentations. We looked followed through due to trade information portal, which is in Uzbekistan. We looked at all documents which are used in foreign economic activity, as well as conducted a number of interviews with business and governmental representatives in order to find out their opinion about the documents, which documents should be automated and included in transboundary and document management. We have chosen 20 documents. Here we show only 8 documents because the slide has some limitations. Nevertheless, you may understand that within the study, we identify the criteria and had the scores from 1 to 3, and you see the level of automation, the frequency of the documents, and the level of interagency cooperation, whether the agency is part of the interagency interaction, also the system of a single window, also readiness of the country to implement the transboundary cooperation, whether it is based on some documents. Also, we looked at the similar, in similar way in other countries or partners. And within this step, we made a conclusion that for Uzbekistan, taking into account certain criteria, phytosanitary certificate and certificate of origin are of direct interest and are a priority for the pilots. And then we looked into the countries Uzbekistan, is trading with, and within Central Asia and beyond, we identified the countries which are priority countries, and in particular, phytosanitary certificates. We decided that Kazakhstan, taking into account the volume of trade and the geographic situation and logistics, a lot of factors, 4 or 5 factors we studied, we decided that Kazakhstan is the priority country for the project of phytosanitary certificates with Uzbekistan. Then we looked at certificates of origin. In our rating, Kyrgyzstan was on the first place, based on a number of factors which are reflected in this report. Accordingly, today we shall discuss 2 projects which we proposed: electronic exchange of phytosanitary certificates Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and electronic exchange of certificates of origin or Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. First project. They are formulated for the convenience of the report, and also they're included in the various sections. Accordingly, at the second stage, the comprehensive feasibility study, we looked at the legal framework and identified the participants of the project: Minister of Agriculture, Agency on Quarantine, of plants, and here plants protection and others. And here we decided all the conditions are in place for introduction of phytosanitary certificates, and they can be in general used. And there is also a number of factors of success which show that in Uzbekistan the implementation of such a project will be successful. For instance, what has been already implemented within the National Information System, which allows to issue phytosanitary certificates. They have these certificates have the possibility to check the authenticity and the QR code, and in real time it can be checked. Also, the system of e-payment for these certificates is introduced. Also, e-Phyto-Uz system was developed and introduced also, which cut the time of issuance of certificates. Also, Uzbekistan is part of the so-called e-Phyto hub system, which is implemented within the IPPC. This is a body of the UN, which is dealing with quarantine and plant protection, and there are international convention, and within this convention there is a solution that developed which allows for the exchange between the state of data on certificates. At the same time, we have to say that there are some legislative risks in the introduction and further expansion of this decision at the international level, as the current legislation does not allow to issue or acknowledge e-signatures, which will be valid in other states. Therefore, there is no implemented system for trusted providers, and this within the interview with the Agency on Quarantine of Plant Protection in Uzbekistan, we identified that despite Uzbekistan is the part of the e-Phyto hub, there are some issues from the point of view of recognition of the information which is in this database. In order to resolve this, the issue of should be regulated with the mutual recognition of these documents based on cooperation, interoperability. Here you will see in more detail, because it is a bit small. We have built the diagram and looked at the business processes of the receiving of phytosanitary certificates in Uzbekistan and transfer to Kazakhstan, and the same similar way in Kazakhstan and transfer to Uzbekistan. In both countries, the certificates can be obtained in an electronic form, but upon the request of the export country, this certificate should be also on paper, should be also paper-based, and therefore the exporters should have the paper-based document and send it transfer it with the driver to the country, to another country. In our case, it is Uzbekistan. After this phytosanitary certificate is obtained, and the control is done, inspection is done on the board, and the products are going to the territory of the country, and then the customs clearance will be a decision on customs clearance will be done. And here you see the activity diagram, which in detail shows the whole process of the receipt and the transfer of the paper certificate from Uzbekistan to Kazakhstan. In red, red you see the places where the most labor consumption is labor is used, and in order to get this paper certificate and send it with the driver. Also on the border with Kazakhstan, the scanning of the document is being done, including the paper certificate, phytosanitary certificate. After that, its check is being done, then the act of the phytosanitary control is being issued. Then with this act, the products can travel in the territory of Kazakhstan. So a lot of time is needed and it is labor consuming. The next graph shows where the most labor-consuming efforts are being used. From Kazakhstan to Uzbekistan, the similar scheme, they are almost identical, with the exception that in Uzbekistan, the documents are not scanned, and accordingly, the check of the certificate is being done, and the act of the quarantine inspection is being done. After this, studying these schemes and current business processes, we decided that the issuance of paper certificates brings additional labor consumption, about 40 additional minutes for the paper certificates, and for the business, it is for government. For businesses, it is 1.5 hours. Also, there are some costs for scanning of the documents. We tried even such time to quantify the time costs, also small time costs. Also, there is a risk of forging of the paper certificate. Also, time is needed to check the authenticity and the scanning of documents, the risk of loss, and also the process of this certificate could be optimized. The third step to be model, which stipulates the exchange of data on phytosanitary certificates between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, used on the based on IFITA hub. As Uzbekistan is already part to this hub, and since its information on the certificates issued, and moreover, Uzbekistan has the system of single window implemented, and the export, in order to get the phytosanitary certificate, addresses the single window, and then IFITA issues this certificate, and the custom service has access to this information. Therefore, the current implementation, this is the current implementation. In Kazakhstan, another picture, Kazakhstan has implemented the national system of phytosanitary certificates, issuance of them, but this system still is not connected to IFITA hub. Therefore, Kazakhstan has to take additional steps to be connected to IFITA hub. Well, once it is connected, then they send this information there. And the information about the issued phytosanitary certificates will be sent to hub, and from Uzbekistan to Kazakhstan, from Kazakhstan to Uzbekistan, and taking into account that Kazakhstan also has the national mechanism of a single window, then exporters who will submit the custom declaration can show the data about sanitary certificates and numbers. The system will send the automatic inquiry into the international database and check this information about the certificates. And provide this information upon the request that this certificate has been issued, what volume, what batch, and so on. So these are participants to foreign economic activity. All this information will be submitted to the supervisory board as this agency on quarantine and plant protection. And also the inter-agency operability through the customs office will allow the customs office will see the results of this control. Also, within this scheme, the diagram 2B, we have shown the procedure for interoperability of participants, and you may see, although the number of these ovals, which are actions to be done, the quality has changed drastically. Without paper phytosanitary certificates, the exchange of data is being done. For these diagrams, we have maybe a diagram of action, where we have changed in details the procedure of interaction of the participants, and we've shown that the procedure, within the procedure is the information of the requesting party about the certificate, and then exporter from Uzbekistan sends this information to the importer, and the importer gets this information immediately and can plan its actions. And after the vehicle comes to the territory of Kazakhstan, there is no need to scan the document because the information was provided in an electronic form, and the inquiries can be sent to the hub to check whether there is information about the certificate in this register and get the information, and based on that information of the electronic act of phytosanitary control, and then further the goods can be moved on the customs territory of Kazakhstan. Accordingly, these arrows show the place. Why it is important? Because the data transfer about this document or electronic document, right? We talk about the exchange of electronic documents, but very often when we talk about such documents as a certificate of origin or phytosanitary certificate, the controlling body should sometimes just happy with the documents, that these documents are trustworthy, and so on. Therefore, the implementation of the proposed model also can implement this request and answer system, and there is no need. And there is an aspect where this information cannot be recognized, but in our opinion, it can be regulated by a separate agreement which can be signed between the countries of Central Asia, or as a pilot, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan in our case, that all the information which is in eFito hub and received through the protected channels, security channels, can be trustworthy, reliable, and therefore there is no need to ask the paper certificates or some e-documents which have been signed. Because in any case, the e-signed documents in Uzbekistan won't be recognized in Kazakhstan, and vice versa. Therefore, the implementation of the information data exchange will enable to decide this, to resolve this issue. At the same time, the issuance and exchange of certificate of phytosanitary certificate, there won't be labor costs. Also, there won't be costs for certificate and the driver and so on. There will be there won't be risks of lost or forged certificate, and processes in the point of in the checkpoint will be optimized. And the whole process will be optimized. And at the fourth step, we looked at the economic efficiency of this project. We calculated those costs. We divided those costs to the initial investments and maintenance costs. And we decided that the project will need the information about $105,000. Also, we calculated the economic benefits to be derived from this project. And we decided that this project is economically beneficial, and also the return time will be less than 1 year. So the return of investments will be 5 times less. And this electronic certificate for both Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan is beneficial, and investments will be returned. In general, we looked at the whole case. As Kazakhstan is not a party to IFITA hub, then they will need some additional costs for that. In general, for the project for both countries, it is about $330,000. Despite this, we looked at it and decided that also it is 1 year for the project to be implemented and investments returned, and there is no, as in business, economic profit of this project, but at the same time we understand that the cut of labor and time for businesses can be calculated economically, has an economic effect. And here we look at the economic effect for costs and benefits, cost benefit, and we included in our report. You can see this, and taking into account the benefits for the business, this project will be economically feasible less than half a year. Then step 5, we looked at the operational interoperability, and we decided that the main beneficiary is the main agency is the Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan. The involved agencies, the Ministry of Investments, Industry and Trade, and agency on quarantine, but they have to actively work with Customs Committee of Uzbekistan, which is the leading agency on single window introduction. And development of the system, IFITA-UZ, and the further integration with the IFITA Hub solution needs additional revamping and introduction of document management, and also cooperation with Kazakhstan. There is no such a provider who can provide trusted services, trusted party services. Also, there is no bilateral agreement between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan on exchange of data. Then it should be discussed with the similar agencies in Kazakhstan. In case Kazakhstan joins the IFITA hub, the data should be sent to which Kazakhstan sends should be recognized in Uzbekistan and vice versa. So the Ministry of Agriculture has a key role and for active implementation of this project. We also The implementation plan, step 6, 2.5 years, half a year already passed, more than 20 activities we stipulated, and we are looking forward for the feedback from you. And this plan stipulates what are the actions to be done from these authorities in order to implement the project. And the next project, when we looked for Uzbekistan, which is, in our opinion, is relevant, is the implementation of exchange on certificates of origin between Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan. We looked at those authorized bodies who issue the certificates of origin to organizations, Uzbek Expertise, Chamber of Commerce, that is Chamber of Commerce. At the same time, the certificate of origin is done through the single window, and the Customs Committee is the agency and gets all information about certificates of origin in real time. Also, the Ministry of Industry and Trade, which is an authorized body for these processes. So this organization is Uzbek Expertise, but the ministry is the responsible ministry. We looked at the legislative framework for the exchange and decided that Uzbekistan has a legal framework enabling the use of the certificates of origin. At the same time, we have identified issues on the recognition of the certificates of origin, which were received from third countries. We looked at the business processes and detailed them within the diagram of precedence and the obtaining certificates in Uzbekistan and transfer to Kyrgyzstan, the similar way for Kyrgyzstan and transfer to Uzbekistan, how control is being done or monitoring in the country of origin. So here at the diagram of action, I have shown in red those places where the most time is needed in order to get the paper certificates of origin, the same to give it to the driver, and the time to check the certificate and take the decision on clearance and use of tariff preferences. So these are the places where compared to the certificate, where the most labor costs originated. This is similar about the additional time costs. The expert from Kyrgyzstan to Uzbekistan on the board and the customs clearance of goods when the check of the certificate and the decision of the use of preferences. So we calculated that the issuance of a paper certificate brings additional costs. It is up to 40 minutes for the businesses, is about 1 hour. And some additional actions should be done in order to check the authenticity of the certificate. For state authorities, it is all not a big problem for those organizations who work for a long time, but for the people who recently joined this, it can take time. The check of the certificate of origin, or the signature of the stamp. So these are additional costs for the customs office in order to take a decision on preferences. Also, if it is a paper certificate, there are risks of forge, of loss of the certificate, and if we exchange it in electronic format, then these risks disappear, and the whole process is being is decreased on the issuance of these certificates. So here on the slide, you see at the high level the architecture of the model of this information cooperation or interoperability between the electronic certificates of origin. And what is important to note, the Customs Committee of Uzbekistan is the leading agency of the development of single window, and the certificate of origin. The importer receives it, and the system is integrated, and the Customs Committee receives information about all electronic certificates of origin in real time. Accordingly, we looked at what models there are for the exchange of certificates of origin. And one of the most successful experiences we underlined is between the Russian Federation and the Azerbaijan Republic. You know that within the CIS there is a special form of the certificate of origin, ST1, and at the CIS space it is being used. So they have the success story of the exchange of certificates of origin between the customs offices of Azerbaijan and the customs offices of Russian Federation. There is no request on certificate of origin, the paper certificate of origin, with the exception of those cases when the customs offices have some suspicions or have some questions to the certificate. As a rule, the issuance of goods is done without the provision of a paper certificate of origin. This model is being expanded. The Russian Federation signed a similar agreement with the Republic of Tajikistan. And in this case, also, the exchange between the customs officers of both countries is being done. Within our models, you see that the cooperation is being done through the mechanism of a single window, and as the Customs Committee is the leading agency responsible for the single window development within. So in case of information cooperation in Uzbekistan, the leading agency which will send this information about all the certificates issued in Uzbekistan will be the Customs Committee. In Kyrgyzstan, a bit another situation, but the customs system developed their own customs information system, and for the development of a single window, there is a special organization, the Center of a Single Window, established. And the Customs Service and the Chamber of Commerce are participants to single window, and the data from the Customs Service on issued certificates. There are data, and they can be received through the mechanism of a single window. And within this agreement on information exchange between Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, on the Kyrgyzstan there are two agencies: Customs Office, which monitors and use of preferences. And second, the special organization for the single window, which maintains the database on the certificates of origin. So the scheme shows the cooperation between the single windows, and as a matter of fact, the Customs Committee from one side in Uzbekistan and two agencies, Customs Services and the Center of the Single Window in Kyrgyzstan. It is all was put in the business processes scheme as should be the diagram of the precedence and diagram of action. So in these cases, which are shown with arrows, I underline that non-electronic document and the information on the certificate issued is being transferred. In the case of the certificate of origin, the claimant is informed about this certificate, that this certificate is in e-registered, and information sent from exporter to importer through other channels, and then at the stage of the monitoring or the control, when the declaration is being sent to the customs office and the preferences are approved, then there is an inquiry from the customs office, which is being processed in the single window system and sent through the channels to another country, and this inquiry is being processed, and the answer is being sent that this certificate has been issued, it is trustworthy, reliable, and then the customs officers do not have any suspicions in terms of the validity of this certificate. At the same time, this monitoring can be done even in automated form. These inquiries and responses process does not engage physical inspectors, as it is done in case of the Russian Federation, where the issuance of goods is done without the officer by the customs office in an electronic form, automatically, without any additional actions from officials, which reduces the time of goods clearance, and the issuance and exchange of e-certificates also optimizes the whole process. No need to print it out, to send it through the driver or other means, and all risks are being minimized related to forge of certificate, loss of certificate. And for this case, we calculated the economic aspects, as you see, for Uzbekistan. The financial costs will need the finalization of internal e-systems and single window, and about $50,000 will be needed, and in order for operational costs, about $85,000, and the feasibility period about 1 year, or economic return. They are not as optimistic compared to the phytosanitary certificates, but it is related to the number of the certificates of origin which are being issued for Kyrgyzstan in Uzbekistan. So if Uzbekistan implements this system, one-off system, then it can use this model in work with other countries, but additional costs will not be needed. So therefore, the more countries are involved in the issuance of the certificate of origin STL1, which are relevant for Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. So the implementation of such exchange will not need any additional costs. At the same time, economic benefits will be higher, much higher. Even with a low number of certificates issued, this return of investments about 1 year, and investments will be returned. These are economic benefits only for state authorities. When we look at the businesses, then it will be more optimistic. And for the general case, as Kyrgyzstan will need to work more in order to be registered to this, included into this information exchange, the return of investments will be about 1 year and 9 months. It is for the certificates of origin. At the step 5, who will be leading of the pilot, who will realize it? The State Customs Service of Uzbekistan, with close cooperation of the bodies who are dealing with issuance of the certificates of origin. It is clear why it is customs, because this is agency which monitors and takes decisions on preferences. Therefore, in the framework of transboundary e-exchange, the weight of the customs office is quite high, because if they are not ready to acknowledge this, recognize the certificates, the project won't be implemented. Therefore, the initiative should come from the state customs service. Therefore, the model recommended to be successful between Russia and Azerbaijan, and the customs officers have taken upon themselves these functions on the information exchange, which are in national registers. And so custom chambers of commerce take this information and send it one another within the cooperation of customs officers. The implementation of projects will need the improvement of the information system and the also national windows, single windows, cooperation between them, and also should be bilateral agreement between Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan about electronic exchange without paper-based documents. This step 6 implementation plan, more than 20 activities are mentioned here, and the agencies are responsible, so it could be clear what should be done at each stage of the implementation of the project. The next step, step 7, cooperation and regional integration. It is related to both of the projects presented, and it says about how this project should be implemented, what are the existing platforms that can be used, or additional platforms to be established for the implementation of this project. So the state plan, agreement of the state plan for the implementation of the project. It is clear that within the bilateral cooperation between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, there are intergovernmental commissions or other platform, regional meeting of the National Committee on Trade Facilitation, which is just is in a good place to facilitate this. Then the project shows that there are teams created for the changes implementation, and the representatives of state bodies and the leading bodies are mentioned, and also this issue should be considered by the meetings of the intergovernmental commissions, and the results of the work of this teamwork are being presented. And the colleagues, the same team can be also introduced here. And also the agenda of these meetings can be discussed, and these issues will bring together and discuss models within Central Asia. A lot of projects are being implemented under the auspices of various international organizations, not only ESCAP and also ECAO and SPECA within the International Trade Center, GIZ, USAID, which implement the regional projects, which have sufficient funding. And within our cooperation with them, we discussed also on the part of GIZ and the International Trade Center, and they are interested in this, and they are waiting for the funding of the project. Once we finalize the results of the project, I believe it makes sense to show to the interested parties or possible donors for the implementation of these projects. I'm coming to an end because it has taken a lot of time, and some general recommendations which we identified within the implementation of all these feasibility studies in Central Asia. We had 4 more feasibility studies, apart from this, 4 more feasibility studies in Southeast Asia. So these are general recommendations. It is clear that more often than not, it needs the improvement of national systems, and Central Asia has the single window mechanism, implemented. Then the requests for the certificate of origin or phytosanitary certificate can be already logged in the system. But the interagency cooperation will need improvement and the development of functionality of the system. Also, I told about recognition of electronic document and participation of the countries in the framework agreement will enable these countries to participate in negotiations related to the mechanism of mutual recognition, and the SCATA is doing work in this area. I can say that the countries did not identify as yet. It is a live question, and the country is still discussing. This also relates to Uzbekistan. They can participate in this discussion. Kyrgyzstan is a party to this agreement, framework agreement. All the decisions which are developed within this work will enable Kyrgyzstan to agree on this new mechanism of mutual recognition, also introduce them at the national level. And within the development of the mutual recognition mechanism, we look at various models, and one of the models is the integration and establishment of cooperation within the national single window. We look at the national mechanism of the single window, which enable to implement this exchange. There are ASEAN countries which say that it is possible to exchange within the regional single window mechanism, exchange certificates. And our experience shows that a lot of experience and work related to capacity building, to awareness raising needed, because psychological refusal from paper documents can stop this work altogether, because some bodies won't understand how come there is no paper certificate. We have to stamp it and so on. And all the participants of this process use this certificate. Therefore, they check the certificate, whether there is a stamp and if there is an act. So all this needs some psychology. All these schemes will need a lot of work related to the training of the personnel and so on. Amongst the risks which we identified, lack of the motivation of state authorities and agencies on project for project implementation. This is the quite popular issue because the borders do not want changes; they are not ready to changes. Here you may see the measures on minimizing risks through the constant training and awareness raising, some refresher courses which will allow to address these issues. Also, the investments into IT infrastructure should be developed. I believe Uzbekistan is very good at that. At least that analysis which we made shows that the level of IT system is quite sufficient to implement this project. Also, development of data exchange between agencies and the international exchange. With this, I would like to complete my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I will stop the presentation so we could start the discussion of what you've heard. It is very important for us to know your feedback, especially those bodies who are, in our opinion, are leading, might be leading. This is the quarantine service, Uzbek expertise, customs service of Uzbekistan colleagues. The floor is yours, please. Good afternoon, Alexei. Good afternoon. I am from the Agency of Quarantine and Plant Protection. Thank you for such an informative report. If possible, can you open the presentation? It is 39 slides. This model of interoperability, this one, 32, 34. Can you open this? Yes, look, the proposal. Now we digitalized phytosanitary certificates and we issue as e-phyto solution as a country. As you rightly said, the electronic digital stamp of our organization has an issue. However, our providers on the territory of EU are ready to provide the e-signature, e-digital signature. For this, we need your support or a consultant on this e-signature, which can be integrated into the system. We understood that they have possibility to recognize documents at the initial stage, but nevertheless, the issue of e-digital signature is still there. Why? Because the phytosanitary certificate is important for the goods on the border. Then there is a phytosanitary control. Then, after that, there should be some act, or if it is positive, if there are no questions, so act on the phytosanitary control. Is it possible to provide by the Kazakh party of this act, and according to requirements of the standards, in case of some contamination, the country, importer country, gives certification, the document, which says why this good did not go through the border. So some requirements to the exporter. So it is also important if there is a possibility to digitalize and automatically send this data. Why? The cargo did not go through the border, and what are the problems with it? And phytosanitary acts, certificates also on the border, it should be shown the certificate or act and act. After that, if the phytosanitary certificate does not have any problems, then the cargo will go through. If not, should show the phytosanitary certificate which replace the old one. Also, there should be a phytosanitary certificate for the re-export if the importer is another country. We would like to discuss these issues and understand, because your project is for 2.5 years, right? And our side is ready to improve the system, our system, because now we provide all support to all Central Asian countries. We have the Telegram group. We we communicate within it. We explain how we went through the stages, what documents are needed. Some technical support is being provided to our colleagues, and we work in particular with Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. Currently, they work with us in the terms of phyto protection, and we provide the support. In the process of the support, we also developing and also think about the re-export certificates and certificate of exchange of replacement, because when the cargo crosses the border, we will need some changes introduced. Because now, if the cargo is sent to Europe, for instance, at the border of the EU, if we do not comply or certificate does not comply with some requirements, we say there should be the certificate of the replacement. They should provide another certificate with another number with reference to the main certificate. And according to it, time is really, it is time consuming 2, 3, 4 days to replace the certificate. In case of the implementation of e-signature, it will be immediately changed and replaced, and the EU has the possibility, if there is 10 tons of some produce, and if they found some organism, they may withdraw this. Some say 1 ton should be withdrawn, 9 tons will go through, but for this 1 ton, we will need some certificate of replacement. So we need this. Yes, thank you very much. I will comment on this. Our task within this project primarily was to identify those prospective areas, promising areas, and for Uzbekistan, these are 2 areas: phytosanitary certificate and certificates of origin, and countries, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, to work with. Therefore, our scope of the project concerned the current situation of issuance of phytosanitary certificates, and we looked at the general processes and the common processes, frequent processes, when the paper phytosanitary certificate is being issued and then checked. Then the control, phytosanitary control is being done on the border. We detailed this process without going in depth in various cases you described. As Kazakhstan is not party of PhytoHub solution, there is no information exchange of certificates of origin, phytosanitary certificates. We talk that it should be done, it should be developed. In order to develop it, we need Kazakhstan to be a participant 1, 2, 3, 5. We described in our report what should be done, and we said how much it will cost, how much time, what are the activities, and the economic feasibility. And within our conclusion, we say that this project is economically viable. We should act so in order to implement this project. For you, for participants of the project, it is a good base, solid document you can base upon and say that there is a study which says the implementation of this exchange with Kazakhstan is feasible, economically feasible, and beneficial. Feasibility study is not a TOR for information system. It's not a document which says how exactly all various cases should be taken into account, precedents within the phytosanitary control. This document is aimed at sort of pushing the country to implement this project. We had a similar presentation in Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, they are interested in, as we said, they are very much interested in joining PhytoHub, and part of the experience you outlined in terms of recognition of documents. We tried to reflect in our report, and we said, if you implement this project between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, we have to agree in the beginning how you will recognize these documents and the data in ePhytoHub. There is possibility at the level of bilateral cooperation to address this recognition, because what you submit to ePhytoHub and Kazakhstan, this is the interaction of supervisory bodies, which is being regulated and supported by the UN. So the issue of recognition may not be there if the information is received through the protected channels. Why you need additional e-signatures, service providers, and so on. In this regard, we make some recommendations in terms of risks. Why this project will not work, may probably not work, and what should be done. So, Farid, thank you very much for your comment. I would want very much for us to communicate, and we'll send not only the presentation, but the report to you as well. If you have comments, proposals, what we missed out, what can be cases arising, we definitely include them in the report, because your comments will be useful not only for your country, but for other countries where this project will be implemented in. Thank you very much. Colleagues, any other comments? Customs Service of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Any representatives from Customs Service? Good afternoon, dear participants. First of all, I would like to thank you for this comprehensive informative report. I work at the Currency Control and Tariff Regulation of the Customs Committee, and would like to add that the customs organs support this project. This project is very important, and it will help entrepreneurs to cut down time and costs, and we are ready to fully cooperate at all stages and areas of this project in order to promote it and the final positive conclusion of this project in order it to be successful. Thank you very much. And sorry for interruption. I would like to add, if there is a possibility to share this presentation with all of us in order to discuss it with our other colleagues. Yes, indeed, definitely. The report, about 107 pages, has the detailed description of all the diagrams. For technical specialists, it will be an ideal scheme when you look at it and understand what is being proposed. For your heads, managers, it will be interesting to look at the calculations and the general conclusion. Definitely, we will send today in our listserv. We will send. Timur, am I right in understanding that we'll be able to do this today? You have the report, you have the presentation. We may indicate some time frame for the review of this report by the agencies concerned. Usually it takes a fortnight. for the report to look into. If there are some comments and some feedback, if there are no feedback or comments, we shall start with the next stage, the final preparation of the report and presenting it during the regional meeting. Thank you very much, colleagues from the Customs Office. I wanted to listen to the colleagues from Uzbek expertise. Have you got any comments? Any feedback? Good afternoon, colleagues. I am Farhod. I represent Uzbek expertise. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yes, yes, yes. Both. I have some technical glitches. I cannot check. But I don't have special comments. A lot of information you've presented. It is a bit difficult to digest everything, but in general, yes, you are correct, and the experts are correct. We don't have special comments. And as our colleagues from Customs Committee said, we are ready to cooperate. Any changes, any questions to us, we are ready. We don't have a lot of experience with international organization. It is an international trade center, and some projects we participated, and we are ready to cooperate. Thank you for the possibility to to be exposed to the new knowledge, and we are ready to cooperate in future. Nothing else. No comments. Thank you, Farhod, for your feedback. I hope that you will look into the report, and if you have some thoughts and insights, I will be ready to work with you, to communicate with you. Timur, Ministry of Industry, Investments, Industry and Trade, any comments? Yes, good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you very much for this comprehensive, big presentation, 2 projects included. Yes, once we receive it, we have some version. We will send it to our colleagues, to the state authorities for agreement, and we will definitely revert to you with our feedback once we collect all comments and unified. How much time will you need? Today is Monday. Usually, how much time it takes to send out, to collect, to summarize, and send back? As you said, it is a minimum fortnight, if our colleagues do not mind. I believe a fortnight will be sufficient. Okay, approximately until 15th August, okay? Okay, thank you very much. We'll be waiting until 15th August. Zebediso will be our contact point, and she will be in the loop, of course, and work with the bodies. Thank you, colleagues. Any other entities to express their opinions? EN5? You?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, colleagues, for your time. I understand it was a host of information, a lot of information, and we also spent a lot of time to prepare it and show it on our slide. Thank you very much. Until 15th August, we'll be waiting for your proposals. All the information is in the Ministry of Investments, Industry and Trade. And we'll stay in touch and have a good time. Thank you. Bye-bye.